Hi, this is the first episode of Pearland Stories, a new podcast here in Pearland. My name's Brant Mills. I'm your host. I am with Pearland Stories, and I own Content Execution Strategies, L.L.C, a media company focused on ghostwriting and executive support. I am here today with Marcee Juarez, who is one of the owners of Nexus Online Strategies, along with Aaron and Harley Dugan, Chief Content Officer of Wheelhouse Media. Nexus is a Pearland-based agency helping business grow through web design, digital strategy, and online marketing. And Wheelhouse is on the studio side of Pearland. They offer professional space for video production, podcast recording, and drone footage for events. Marcee, tell me more about what you and Aaron do at Nexus.
Sure. So Aaron and I, we co-own Nexus Online Strategies. We are a concierge boutique marketing agency, and it sounds very fancy, but in simple terms, what that is we are a small business here in Pearland, and we work directly with small businesses, helping them show up online in a way that converts. And so we use a lot of tools. Strategy is one of the main ones, right? Data and strategy. And a lot of times that comes out or it shows up as maybe an audit or a strategy call or a consult call. It shows up as redoing a website. It might show up as helping with either strategy or management for social media. It could be a variety of different things. And so we use different tools like website design, AI systems, CRM, and to help fulfill and help these clients be able to achieve the goal. And so oftentimes what happens is they'll come to us with a problem. And then it could look like I don't have enough leads, right? Or nobody finds me online, or I don't have enough reviews. And so we then go in and we do like a consult and strategize with them to figure out, okay, what is the true issue here? It might not be you need to run ads or add more marketing dollars. It could be that you have a system issue or a different type of issue. And so we go in and try to figure out what that is. And then if you do need these tools we offer, like website design and social media management or all the other things we offer, then that's where we say we can also help with that. But just to add a little bit more, one of our strengths at Nexus is to lead with data and strategy. And so a lot of times it's doing things a little bit different than just checking off a box. And I feel like most businesses, especially, here in Pearland or business in general, they try their best to do their best. And so they're going to put out what they think works based off of their perspective. But one of the things that I feel like is often missed and is a very strong tool is branding and positioning. And so just keeping in mind that people need to know who you are in a way that they understand. They need to know what you do and how you can help them. So who you are, what you do, and how you can help them, it needs to be across all of your online presence, right? So when someone goes into your social media account, if they go to your website, if they land on your Google business page, those three things need to be very clear quickly. And I feel like it's something that you would think like, well, of course, that seems kind of like common sense. Common sense isn't common sense to everybody. So I feel like that's often missed. And we tend to I say we because I'm also one of those business owners, and I have to also go back and be like, did that post reflect those three things? No, it didn't. Let me be a little more specific. So it's really just about intention. So I wouldn't say they have no idea. Obviously, we're all doing our best out here. But I think it's just about having a little bit more intention and knowing how to communicate in a way that our ideal client receives the message that we're trying to give and do the thing we want them to do, right? Book the appointment, buy the thing, call the business or whatever it is.
So Harley, describe Wheelhouse and tell me a little bit more about what you guys offer.
Yeah, so another digital media company. But look, at face value, I've always said people like we're a rentable studio space kind of outlet for any kind of events, podcasting, photography. These are several services that we offer. So we have the lounge area for all your coverage and network events, meetings, anything like that. We have a conference room that's very similar, but a lot more professional. And then we have our editing bay where we would edit ourselves because we can edit anything that is necessary for customers. If they're looking to vectorize their logo, if they're looking just for a profile picture or a brand or anything like that, like anything in between, we can do that there. podcast room, Brant, yourself, you've used it before. Marcee and Aaron have seen and taken a tour as well too. So the podcast room did a whole rebrand. It was just started as a green screen room, and then we fully rebranded it into a very professional looking podcast room. And then obviously we have the photography room that I skipped up, but we do more than just, photography. We could also edit your background and put you like if you're on Mount Everest or something, Again, going back to the editing side of things, we do a lot of post-production. But besides those two things, we also have an audio room that is very simple audio mixing and mastering, nothing full-fledged. I try not to impress musicianists or anything with it too much because we don't have a soundboard, and once they see it, they go, oh, okay, I need an audio engineer to come with me in order to use this room. Yes. Fully remodeled kitchen as well too. So I know there's a lot there, 3,300 square foot building, but just at face value, you can rent out any of those studios or spaces, but we could also not just create the content there, but we could also go on location, create the content for you on the road. If you need anything, let's say you're in, Pasadena, we can go over there, create the content for you, ask you questions. And we have a few clients already that we do SMMA for. So that's another facet that we offer as well too.
Spell out what that means.
Social media marketing agency.
Okay.
Or social media marketing and advertising. The A could be interchangeable to any way. I think more people use advertising than agency. But SMMA essentially is just any clients that we have. Like currently we have Loyalty Auto Care, who's located here in Pearland, and they're relatively new. They've been around for about a year. The digital media designer, Danny, his brother owns the shop. So we kind of did like a family discount kind of type thing. And plus it was kind of just to get our feet wet. Like we had an idea of what we were doing, but we've never done it. So, just creating the content, capturing it, editing it, and the process it takes is, I think we realized it was going to take a while and it takes, duration, but didn't realize it would be this much. So we've gone back and we've had a blast, actually. It's fun just going over there and recording, capturing the content, filming. We rig out everything. We try to, tell everyone, hey, we have ample high quality product, 4K cameras, video. We just rigged out our Sony to a cinematic camera now. So we have now a big cinematic rig camera that comes with a shotgun mic and all the bells and whistles. So we try to promote ourselves as, we can help small and local businesses, and we're really in the heart of Pearland, and that's what we're trying to really attack. But we also want to branch out just a little bit more too.
Nice. So what gap in Pearland's creative landscape made you say someone needs to build this kind of space where people can come get studio space and can come utilize that?
Yeah, so more story behind us, since I'm not technically the owner. Pat is one of them, as well as another guy named Wesley. Those are the two guys that are the owners of Wheelhouse Media. And with that, I came along just because I saw them on a Twitter post randomly, and I was kind of curious, and I kind of just waited. And I started looking at their stuff, and I was like, I could do something. And I'm a YouTuber myself. I've done YouTube for about 5 years, have 15,000 subs, talking Houston sports, just something I'm very passionate in. And with that, I was like, I know I can help because I know I have other people in play that would come with me and try to help this media company out. And that came Danny, multimedia guy, went to SCAD, Savannah, Georgia, one of the best digital media universities in the States. And he went there, studied, got himself a fine job in a law firm where he was working in marketing for them, ran their YouTube channel, and they decided they're going to lay off the entire marketing department.
First mistake right there.
Yeah, so that was a fun one. And so me and Danny were both unemployed at the time, and we just joined over to Wheelhouse, more so because we were curious. But with that, when I started walking around and just, I venture a lot, so I don't know Pearland very well. And so I just started driving around more. And that's when I met William a little bit, briefly. He told me about this space called Spacious, pun intended, I guess. And and I was like, okay, cool. Where else does someone have that? And then that's where I'm like, okay, so I can see where Wheelhouse Media could fill in the gaps for small local businesses and you just kind of take that stress away from them, man. They don't have to go and record. And I know a lot of them want to do just more without a phone. They're just doing everything with the phone. And I know they would prefer, at least ideally, camera, professional quality stuff.
Sure. 100%.
Because, with Wheelhouse and Nexus, and we also do partnering, like we believe in partnering with small businesses within Pearland because we want to see our city grow and we have amazing businesses in Pearland. And so one of the things that we do is we partner with other businesses, right? And so, Nexus and Wheelhouse works together as well. And so just to piggyback off of what Harley said, a lot of businesses don't really understand how many resources there are in the community. And you don't know what you don't know. Business is hard. Like being a business owner is hard, whether you're in your first, year or in your 10th or 5th or 10th year. Like it's hard. One of the things that I've learned, even like listening to these experts that are online or going to different conferences, is everybody talks about how like, we don't know what we're doing. We're just kind of like doing our best, right? We learn as we go, and every day you learn something different and you apply it to your business. And so one of the gaps that there is in Pearland and in the business space is that I feel like both Wheelhouse and Nexus fills is marketing and media, in the sense of, with media, a lot of it is storytelling, right? It's telling a story and moving people to an action that's marketing as well. And so when you put those things together, it fills this gap of how to position yourself to your ideal client. And I feel like a lot of people don't know how to do that. It's just, again, you don't know what you don't know unless you went to school for marketing and you're actively keeping up with all the changes that are happening in the marketing and media space. It's hard to keep up with. I think anybody watching this who owns a business and you're not a marketing business, like you're like, yeah, it's so hard to keep up with that. But it's important and you have to do it. And that's why we exist. And that's why we decide to partner together and find ways to be able to provide a high quality service to the Pearland businesses. Because we all need help in what we don't know. Like I couldn't do my business taxes if I wanted to. So I'm going to hire someone that's an expert in that knows, because I don't want to know all the laws. I don't want to know all the ways. But you can do that. You stay up to date with that. We're going to stay up to date with how to make marketing and media in business work at a high quality for businesses. And that's why, I don't know if that answers the question of the gap, but just to add my 2 cents there.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I've found about Pearland is a very connected business community. Everyone's supportive of each other. Yes. They don't act like competitors. It's not like you see in other markets. People are there to support each other. They're here to come to the table, to come together to discuss the things that are going on. And that's one of the reasons I invited the two of you, because we're all doing some similar things in the same space, but we all have different specialties, and we can help people with their business problems in different ways. And everybody here is amazingly supportive and nice. So I love Pearland. I've recently connected with that. I spent 20 years commuting to Houston, coming back. I was in-house for media for 20 years, doing pretty much everything inside a large faith-based nonprofit, served 3 different bishops, served several executives, and then served a larger church. So that's kind of the space I know. But there's overlap, and there's connection here that I didn't know. I didn't know my neighbors. So that's one of the reasons I stepped away to do this. Pearland Stories is part of that, in that everything's isolated, everything's siloed. You have good information coming from the chamber, from the city, from different businesses, different groups, different media companies, but they're all disparate. They're all separated. So I wanted to pull all of that together and have one unified channel where it shares all of that information, but also gives a platform to share voices across a diverse array of people who don't have access or don't have connections necessarily, but there's a lot of really good stories being told. There's a lot of really great people doing things and coming together and connecting and building each other up and supporting each other in ways that I didn't expect. So it's been a really nice space to walk into. And so that's one of the reasons I'm doing some of this. So along those lines, can you tell me a little bit more about what you're seeing? What type of Pearland business owner is winning right now when it comes to visibility, when it comes to community connection, and what are they doing differently in that space?
Sure. So I think there's two main things that they're doing. Like the businesses that are winning in this space is the business owner that understands, one, that community over competition is key, right? Because if you're out there thinking like, well, I have a burger joint and they have a burger joint, so I gotta make sure that I take the clients or I take the customers. And like, if you have that type of mentality, like you're losing. It's a race to the bottom, like, you know. And so it's about community over competition. So and having partnerships like this, that's why partnerships like these exist, right? Like the ones we have around this table right now. And so I think that if you have that mentality, that's one thing, you're already ahead of the game. And two is understanding that your personal brand is key as well. So right now, like there's social media is not going anywhere. AI is not going anywhere. Like there's all of these different things that are happening. And there's people who are staying ahead of the curve by posting online, being more authentic online, showing their face online. There's people who are going the other way and they're using AI to, like create these avatars and a lot of AI type of content. And I truly believe like that's not sustainable. AI used to be the thing that was hot and new. And so it was working and it was getting you visibility and engagement, but everyone's doing it now. So like if you're doing AI content to that extent of where like the majority of your content that's being put out there is AI, like again, it's a race to the bottom because everyone's doing that. So you're not standing out anymore. And that's why businesses like Wheelhouse are so important. Like you want to have real footage, actual, like not AI generated footage. Again, nothing against AI. We use AI so much in our business. So that's not a jab at AI. It's just saying that your personal brand, showing your face online, understanding that people do business with people who they know, like, and trust. Meaning they need to know you, they need to see you, you need to be seen, you need to show up. And that doesn't mean perfect. And that's something that I say to myself too, because I struggle with this as well, because as humans, like we want to show our best face, right? And so, but just showing up, period, showing your face, showing, if this is a business, like showing your staff, if you have a brick and mortar, like showing your office space, showing a day in the life, showing like what's actually happening, the truth, the behind the scenes, people love that. That builds trust and relationship and connection. And so, again, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So if they know you, they got to see you first to know you. And then eventually, if they see enough of your content and they relate to what you're saying, they're going to like you. If that's your person, right? And honestly, if they don't like you, then that's not your person, and that's okay. Like, they can scroll away. That's totally fine, too. And then eventually, like if you're showing up and you have a strategy behind your content and showing, there's a strategy behind what you're doing, then you start to build trust, and that's who people do business with because they resonate with you and they like you and they feel like they know you because they see you all the time, And so it's funny because we're here from Pearland. And so there's times where we're like at HEB and it's like Sunday and we're doing our Sunday afternoon grocery shop run or whatever. And someone's like, hey, and we're like, hey, we don't know them, but they're like, I've seen you online. I saw you speak at this event. I saw you you're Nexus. And it's like, and that's what you want. Although like at first we were like, dang it, people are going to start recognizing us. And now I have to actually dress well to go to HEB. I have to wash my face and put on makeup to go to HEB now. I used to not, but that's a good problem to have because what that means is like my social media, my website, it's working for me. It needs to be working while I'm at home asleep. And so to answer your question and not like ramble on too much, those two things, one, community over competition is one. And a personal brand is so important. You definitely want to build up your business brand. If you have a business account with a logo on it and you have your service offerings and you have that information that people usually go look for when they're trying to, buy your service, that's fine. You also cannot sleep on your personal brand because at the end of the day, they're going to go with the person they know. And they don't know the logo, but they know you. They're going to see you at the HEB and they like that. And so that would be my advice.
What are you saying?
To piggyback on for a second point, relatability creates credibility. It's something that I've always said, and I've learned the hard way too, because as a YouTuber myself, like I've had similar moments. I was at the NFL draft party for the Houston Texans 2021, and my YouTube channel maybe had 500, 600 subs. I just went there just to capture content. No one's ever done it before, so I wanted to be the first one to do it, right? So Danny went over. We had our little Canon T5i Rebel, we thought we were so cool, have a little camera out there, we didn't even have a mic, so I just used the phone as a microphone, and it was so much fun. But it was also odd because I had people starting to recognize me, and they were like, "Oh, dude, I watch your YouTube channel, man." I'm like, "Me? I'm a nobody," That's what I'm like, and it was very tough to be like, "Oh, okay, hi, yeah, we could take a photo, sure. You want my autograph? Why? Okay." And so that was such a learning period. It was like, and like Danny was telling me, like, dude, you gotta, like, you're so cool on camera and everything. Like, people think you're just like that outside of camera, which I am. It's just, it was so new to me and so foreign that people would recognize who I am. And so next year when we did it again, we had a lot of people really recognize me. It was like, here's a shirt, dude. Awesome, bro. Make sure you just, and I'm talking like how I normally would talk, like everyday life if I was just hanging out with my buddies talking sports, right? And so again, that just creates credibility because like my dad has always been, my dad was born in 1962, so the thing was back then is, oh man, the owner of the restaurant, like, you're cool, into today's, it's still the same way. It's just now you utilize social media to a point because like my dad knows the owners of Taqueria del Sol. He used to take them to Magnolia Sharks games when they were kids, and yeah, I know, I'm aging my dad here, but it's okay, he's not here, but that relatability, like, oh, because the owner of a business, there is more likelihood that you're going to go back to that business over and over and over again. And that's the credibility establishment. I can speak English. Credibility establishment there. So, that's the biggest thing for me when I look at business owners and whenever I try to capture content with them, it's, look, yeah, we can do photos, we can do videos of everything. And yeah, we can make it look nice and pretty and glam it up as much as we can. In post and editing, and it's going to look amazing and you're going to get views. But people want to know who the owner is. And they want to know them to a level of, oh man, the owner at Loyalty Auto Care is the drummer in a band called Estrella. Oh my God, that's awesome. I want to know more about this guy. Oh, the owner of the Boys Club Barbershop plays flag football every once in a while.
For sure.
Yeah, Justin, awesome, man. You know what? I want to know. I want to go to his barbershop. I want to go to his auto shop, and those are just the things to me that are very super important. I don't think a lot of small business owners understand that yet.
There's a lot, I feel like people forget that their problems are not unique to them. So when you show up online and talk about your, how you started, the struggles that you're going through, you wouldn't believe how many people can relate to that. And that's why it's so important, because what happens is they're going to drive that hour to your business or go to that barbershop or that taco truck or whatever, because they know the owner, even though they might not know them personally, but they know them online. And they're like, oh, did you know, I'm big on this. I always tell Aaron, like, did you know that the owner from here, they started this and they started like, and you buy into their story. So yeah, I'm going to spend even if, like pricing is one thing, but like I'll pay an extra however much if I truly believe and align with what you're doing and what you're selling. If I see myself in you, I'm like, man, we were born in the same place, or we see, we grew up in the same street, or we drive the same car. Like people start to see themselves in that owner, and then they're going to buy into you. And again, it goes back to your personal brand. Talk about it. Talk about all of it, and I, again, agree. That's definitely important.
And that's getting harder and harder these days. So suburbs have always had an issue trying to connect because they're left out of the major media market, especially with the proximity of Houston. So with Pearland being a suburb, it doesn't really feel like that anymore. It's grown so much.
Yep.
So how's that identity shift changing the way local businesses need to present themselves? What are the problems they need to solve?
Can you, I don't understand the question really much. Can you rephrase that?
Sure, yeah. So local businesses have to market themselves in a specific way to target their ideal customers. With not really having, so it's really expensive to buy into Houston media, and it's really difficult for Pearland for Pearland businesses to really connect in that space because they're really priced out of the market. But trying to position themselves against Houston businesses doesn't necessarily work the right way. Mm-hmm. Pearland's growing to the point where it's its own thing, and it doesn't necessarily need to do it that way anymore. What opportunities exist in that space for those business owners?
So I think I agree with you. Like, Pearland is not your, one street, two street town where like it has like one feed store and like one grocery like that's not maybe that's what we were several years ago. But yes, we're a pretty competitive city. Like we're on the map. Okay. Like I there's a few names. I'm not a fan of these people. Some people I won't say, but there's a few famous people who came out of Pearland. and so like Pearland's on the map. And I think that if someone's trying to, this is just my personal opinion, but like if you're trying to compete with Houston, I think that you're already wrong. Because Houston is Houston and that's great, right? And Houston is an hour away from Houston. Like, so for you to try to compete with like that size of a city, like Pearland, there's so much business here in Pearland. It's growing so much. So I feel like I don't know the number of how many people, the residents, I don't know if you know the number of how many residents we have in Pearland.
120,000 now, I think.
Oh, I thought you said 20. I was I think it's way more than 20. Yeah. 120,000. That's so many people and counting, right? And so there's plenty of business here. There's plenty of business. Like whatever you need. You used to have to drive to Houston to get a certain thing that maybe your city didn't have, right? If you were part of these small suburban cities. But that's not the case anymore. You can pretty much find everything you need here in Pearland and not have to leave if that's what you choose to do. Right. And so really what you want to do is SEO is so important, right? So if you are and SEO is search engine optimization for the people who don't know what that is. And what it is pretty much the ability for people to find you online. And you want to be strategic about it. And so I feel like if that's like a second thing, then that's your first mistake. You definitely want to like lead with that. And you want to make sure like, hey, am I doing everything I can to make sure I'm visible online? There's things as far as like consistently posting, having a website or online presence, doing different community partnerships and events. Like there's definitely that, but there's also different tactics and tools that you can do. And so one, I would say if you're a small business owner, unless you are a tech and you know how to do it already, like you should be partnering with somebody who knows marketing to give you some guidance and strategy because it's constantly changing. Even for us who we like live and breathe this stuff, it's like another thing, this other update, And so I think that there's a way to conquer and to like to really optimize SEO within your like a local SEO with your business within Pearland. And so you don't have to compete with Houston. You don't have to, and now we have an opportunity where your social media, your reviews, your Google business page, your website, of course, all of that feeds in to your SEO. Right. What you post online, the keywords that you're using in your video, in your reel on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok or whatever, that's also SEO now because now everything's being transcribed. We have AI. So you want to show up on AI search. Well, you need to you have to have content and you have to be out there in all these platforms because all AI is doing is searching the web, right? It's just doing it way quicker than you could do it, right? It does it in a few seconds. It would have taken you 2 hours to do the amount of work it did in 2 seconds, right? And so I feel like there's definitely an opportunity and I wouldn't worry about competing with Houston. It's really about like working and having a strategy with your SEO. How do you, are you positioning yourself online in a way for your ideal audience to find you? Are you talking about the problems that you solve, not just the services that you offer? Right. Because a lot of times people are like, we can do this, we could do this, we could do this. That doesn't mean anything. So could that guy and that guy and that guy and everybody in Houston, right? And so, but why you? And it's like, oh, we solve this problem and then putting that everywhere, putting it on your social media, putting it on your website, doing it on a blog, putting it on YouTube, like being loud about it and then being consistent.
And what about Wheelhouse? What kinds of things are you seeing in that space?
Yeah, so, I mean, Houston is super diverse, and it's just a hodgepodge, melting pot of culture and race. And with that, it's melted into Katy, Pearland, Sugarland. I look at Pearland and just around us at Wheelhouse, right across the street, we have Asian restaurants. Pho Saigon is right there. Right to the left of us, we have Tycoon is also there. We have other Asian spots. And I mean, not just like Asian American, like authentic Asian eating spots. Like, and it is so much fun to see that inside Pearland. Or I can go to Sugarland and go to Just Go Market and get Filipino food and Filipino marketable stuff, or H Mart. And then I could go to Katy and they have their own Chinatown over there in Katy. Besides just Bel Air, you could go to Katy and find out they have a whole Chinatown with great ramen. And I love food, as you can tell. And oh my goodness, I love
Getting
it.
Hungry.
Yes, right. And what was the topic? I know. But with that, like the diversity is here in Pearland as well too. So there's not I used to work at Cellar Brothers. It's an independent grocery store chain, and the owner of Cellar Brothers was like, man, we need to do our meat marketing specials for Christmas like how HEB does it. And I'm like, it's not going to work, man. Yep. It's like, yo, no, yes, it will. That's what we got to do. And I said, HEB and Walmart and all those big companies like Houston, like they're going to make their money regardless, whatever what we do. They're going to do their thing. They're going to still bat 1,000. They're going to do amazing things. We have to do something. Yeah, we could do something different, but we have our own lane, and it's not to say that we don't want to drive on the same lane Houston is. Yeah, we can, maybe not the HOV, but, we can probably get on the slower lanes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Pearland is a great community from what I've learned so far, and anything within Pearland, super diverse still, and there's a lot of opportunity here. And Pearland Town Center, I still want to explore more of. There's so much diversity in Pearland Town Center. They just opened up a Korean convenience store spot in Pearland Town Center. Only has 120 followers. I'm about to go hit them up.
Oh, they're a great place, yeah.
Yeah, because I see it trending on TikTok. Is how you could go to these convenience stores in Japan and get these full-fledged meals and eat like a king almost. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. So, I know I've talked a lot about food because I love food. But, Pearland itself, it's super diverse. And I think just with what I've learned at Wheelhouse is, everyone can market themselves individually, and there's an audience for it as well, too. You don't have to be like, oh, well, I only sell Asian food. I only sell Korean food or Filipino food. So I have to cater to, anyone in Houston. No, like, that audience is still there in Pearland, in Sugarland, that's neighbored, and everywhere else as well too. So everyone has their own individuality when it comes to marketable stuff.
Right. Yeah, I was going to ask about differentiation in the market. Business owners think branding is just a logo. So what does that actually mean when you get down into it more granular? So how a customer experiences you online, that identity. And displaying who they are. It's hard for people to really wrap their minds around that. What does that look like in that online space?
Yeah, I'd say,
how do you position yourself differently? How do you brand yourself?
I mean, logos itself are very important as well too, just as a branding product. But there's more than just a logo. Like, you could have a cool logo, but you don't have a story. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing right here is the story behind yourself. That's what people want to know. And that goes back to just us talking about, finding more, learning more about the owners of said business owners and small business owners and learning more about them. I mean, logos are cool. I can have a cool logo, but now it's like, man, everyone uses AI for a logo now, and it's not to, poo-poo on AI at all. But I mean, AI, I've always looked at, it's a tool to brainstorm. It's a tool to think and get the creative juices flowing. But it's not a tool to just, that's how I'm going to fix this house with AI. No, it's a platform to get you creatively thinking. Overall, I kind of forgot the question because I started talking about AI again.
Yeah, it was more about how people position themselves and brand themselves and what that looks like. The real question was, what does it actually mean for a customer and how they experience you online, really, before they pick up the phone? How do they how do you position yourself and get them to know you?
Yeah. So I think, with branding, you said, it's not always about a logo. You're right. A logo is very important, and you should have a logo for your business because you want to be identifiable. People see your logo and they see your colors, they see your, your brand, and they're like, oh, that looks like, there's certain brands right now where they could take away the logo and you can just see the color and you're like, that's McDonald's, that's this, that's that, whatever, And so definitely important. But I think more than that, your brand is more than just your color and your logo. It's more about who you are, which kind of answers also the question you just asked about, like, how do you compete with Houston and how do you, and I agree with Harley. We're like, we have our own lane here. And part of that is the branding and positioning, because if you are, one, consistently showing up online, authentically yourself, like, don't, like, as I said, don't compete with Houston. Don't compete with your only competition is who you were yesterday. And that's it. Just be better at showing up online, being real, showing the truth, the bad, the good, the ugly, all of it, and that's going to be what people buy into. And so, I also forgot the question. What was the question?
Well, it was more of the identity piece. But so I've always heard that the brand is how you feel when you interact. It's not about like just identifying the logo. It's not just identifying what services they provide and whether or not they meet those needs, but it's the overall feeling when you see the logo, when you hear the name of the brand, when like your customer experience is really about how you personally interact and how your impression goes connected to that. So if you see the polar bears at Christmas time for Coca-Cola, or if you see, whatever the Beers Diamond commercials, and like how you feel about that, I grew up poor. So, that feels like, it might be something I don't, I can't afford that, but that's really nice for, or just that impression. So if you see the Astros logo, I mean, if you're an Astros fan, you feel a certain way. If you're in a different market, you're not going to necessarily appreciate it the same way.
Yeah. So the thing about branding is that everyone has a brand.
Right.
Like, even if you're not a business, or just every person has a brand. A brand is what people, like you said, what they feel, the takeaway, what they associate you with. And so there's certain people who, like, if you think of a friend and you're like, oh yeah, this person, when I think of them, I think of, this show or these colors or this thing, because they're always wearing that and they're always talking about that. And so this is what I associate them with. That's their brand. So the thing is, like, whether you know it or not, you have a brand. Whether you're intentional about it or not, you have a brand. And so as a business owner or someone who's trying to grow their personal brand, I would be very intentional about it, because it could be a tool that helps you bring business, in. And so, it's definitely about, being intentional about it. It is more than just a logo. It's more than a color scheme. It's about being intentional in a sense of, like, asking yourself, what do I want to be known for? When somebody thinks of me, what do I want them to feel? What do I want them to think of? And then how do I show up like that online all the time? So if it's about personal brand, it's like, how do you show up as that person? So what does that person do? Reverse engineer it. Like, if this is the result that I want, how do I get that result? How am I the person that reflects that, and then show up as that every day. And hopefully it's who you are, right? Because then it'll be easy. You just show up, right? And if it's a business, it's the same thing, right? As a business, you want to think, like, who am I trying to attract? Who is my ideal audience? What problems do they have? And how do I make sure that when they land on my social media, on my page, on my website, they know who I am, what I do, and how I can help them, right? Immediately, like within the first 5 seconds.
And how can they look at that and know whether their brand is working for them or against them? And how do you help them?
How are they able to make sure that that's what they're doing?
Yes.
So I think for one, it's just awareness is one, right? Like, again, moving with intention. If you're just checking off a box and saying, like, I know I need to do social media and I know I need to have a website, so let me just put something up, boom, boom, boom. Or let me just go ahead and post this. Like, well, yes, technically you're doing social media and you have a website, but is that doing anything for you? Is that moving the needle? Is that converting? So what you want to do is, one is be aware. Like, hey, like right now, ask yourself, like, am I aware of my brand and who I am attracting? One sign that your brand is not aligned with who you are is, do you keep attracting the wrong client, right? Or do you keep getting the wrong type of business? And you're like, I keep attracting these types of people. Well, it could be because that's the people you're calling out to. Mm-hmm. Because you need to, audit your brand and see, like, well, who do I want? Right? Do you know who you want? Do you know what kind of clients you want to have, right? So it's like, so I would say awareness is first. And then the most simple thing to do is, on social media, on website, I know I keep repeating the same thing, but it's really that simple, is does your content or your messaging or your copywriting or your branding tell people who you are, what you do, and how you could do it for them? Like, does it do that? And if it doesn't, start there. Start with that. And if you don't know how to do that, call Nexus Only Strategies.
100%.
Yeah.
So, and along those lines, Wheelhouse provides a dedicated studio space in Pearland. So you help with those kinds of things, but where did that idea come from? Like, why are you guys here in this space?
Well, the origin of the idea just became of a backyard between the two owners and just having fun and thinking about it more. But that's just at surface level. But in an ultra sense, I always wanted to do something in the digital media game because I always felt like I could do something to help a business. I could do something like I won't say I know what I'm doing, but I say I have an idea of what I'm doing, and I have ideas that I've seen other trends happen and people have gotten successful because of it. And so, you could always come in and rent out a studios for us, and, you can create your brand and identity and all that good stuff. But to her point, like if you're just doing it just to do it, then it's kind of a waste of your time and a waste of money, to be honest. And, I'm very blunt when it comes to with customers too. Like, if you have a cheaper option of doing it elsewhere, then go ahead and continue doing that. But here at Wheelhouse, we using 4K quality content. We're going to give you the highest efficient needs that you need possible. And that's what I try to promote us as, and it's not to downplay anything, but I think there's a lot of people, a lot of customers that once they've started walking to our studio, they go, oh, wow, I needed this a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, I want to relaunch my podcast. Okay, cool. Okay, we need a branding idea for you. We need photos for you. We need videos of you. We need, what's your favorite colors? Do you need a logo? And we've had Mark recently, who is an accountant from Know Your Numbers, and he's doing a 12-episode podcast with us. He's a rock star. He's already knocked out all 12 episodes. Wow. That was supposed to be like I think 4 or 5 month period or something like that. He's already done all of them, and he has more ideas. And the ideas he has is just like, you get it. You get that what you want to do, what you want to create, what your audience is. And I think that's a big thing, is knowing your audience, and that can happen over time. You might not know it immediately, but over time you understand who your audience is. Once you do, you tap into that, you're going to get views, you're going to get recognizability, you're going to get all kinds of things. And Mark has really, really got it. And he's probably going to be one of our better clients, because I know there's going to be the other ends where you got to hold their hand a little bit, and there's no problem with that, right. I don't mind doing that. I'm still, like, even with my YouTube channel, like, I understand who my audience is when it comes to Houston sports and fans and guys and girls. But I also know that I can still improve the brand a lot more, and I there's never, to me, it could always improve.
So Marcee, where do you see the biggest gap between businesses that want more visibility and businesses that are actually taking steps to build toward that?
Yeah. So honestly, it's really simple. The people who are actually building visibility versus the one who want it and they are like, I don't know how to do it. The difference is literally the ones that are doing it are just doing it. They're showing up unpolished, authentic, raw. They're doing it wrong, right? They're the pioneers who are like, I wonder what happens if I do this. And then they do it. Because we're in this space right now where things are evolving quickly. Like before, things used to be like, this is how marketing works. And it kind of lived there for a while. Not so much anymore. Now it's like every other week, algorithm changes. There's a new AI. There's a new tool. There's this new way. And like I said, they're not going away. And so the person who's thriving right now is the one who's just doing it bad. But they're doing it. Because what happens is you might do it the first time. Anything you do for the first time that you've never done and you haven't seen that it has been done before is probably not going to be great. But that's okay. Because then what happens is next time you do it is going to be a little better. And the next time you do it is going to be a little better. So I would say the person who's doing it and actually getting the visibility, those are the ones who are actually just showing up. Those are the ones that understand that marketing is important and that it's an investment and are willing to invest in their business. You know that it takes money to make money, and so so I would say like just do it. Just show up, do it, or work with someone that knows more than you. Understand that like you don't know what you don't know, and you have to work with experts. Like I said earlier, like I'm not going to be doing my own taxes because I'm not the expert on that, and I don't want to be the expert. I have no interest in learning tax law. I just don't, and so I'm going to hire someone for that. And I understand that that's going to be an investment, and I'm okay with that. And so I feel like the person who's willing to invest in themselves and to do it bad, to do it not perfect. And I'm speaking to myself because I'm one of those who like, I want to show up perfect online. And sometimes I'd rather not post if it means that it's not polished. But I also know that that's wrong. And when certain results, I don't get certain results, I already know why I'm not getting them, right? I'm like, I know it's because I need to just do it bad, And the thing is like, it's not as bad as you think because we're our worst critic. So it's probably going to be okay, actually. And then someone's going to be like, wow, I love the fact that you show up authentically online. I'm going to go ahead and do it too. And then you start to inspire others and you're ahead of the curve because you started. And now, like I said, every time you do it, you're doing it a little better. So I would say the person who's doing it right versus the person who's like, I wish I had visibility. The difference is just that the person is actually doing it. They're just putting themselves out there and going for it.
Yeah, visibility to me is just like consistency. And once you become consistent, then you'll become visible. And I say that like, I posted every day for my YouTube channel. I did a video a day, and I started with a camera. Well, no, I started with a phone and phone audio, and that was it. And, it reminds me of right now there's this kid called Big Dog Davis on TikTok. And this kid, all he does is review school food lunch.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
And he's a big kid called Big Dog Davis. And all he does is review school food lunch. And he does it every single day. And when I first saw him, he had like 20,000 followers already on TikTok. Wow. I just saw him last night because I hadn't seen him on my feed in a while. And I just saw him last night. And he has 945,000 followers on TikTok. And He has blown up because all he does is, my name's Big Dog Davis, and today we're going to review school food lunch. And it's, again, it's the consistency, and it's hilarious. You look at the comment section. Slim Jim is commenting. KFC is commenting. Like, all these big branded, companies are commenting on there. And so if he could do it just with a camera and just talking about school food lunch and how it either sucks or it's good or anything in between, if the 14-year-old kid could do it, why can't, the 31-year-old average male or female do it? And again, it's just consistency. And I understand time is tough, in comparison, like to her point, comparison is a thief of joy. I compare myself too much, because I look at my YouTube channel and I look at my things that I put out and I'm like, it's not perfect. To her point, it doesn't have to be perfect, and people love, like right now, what's really trending is what's the raw innate ability that a business owner, a small business owner has. Like, they love seeing that raw feel of you because, like, one of the trending videos that we just had for loyalty, it had, well, I say trending, but the most viewed video we had was just a day in your life. And all it was Andrew, the owner, put on the meta glasses that we gave him, and he just did an alignment. And it sounded boring, but it has 1,400 views now. For a TikTok that only has 21 followers, it started with 2 followers. He just created the TikTok and immediately had 1,200 views on a video. So, it's just consistency. And once people see that, then he had people go, hey, I saw you on TikTok. Oh, I didn't know when you started. When did you start TikTok? When did you start social media? I noticed you post more. It's just visibility. That's what happens.
Yeah, and I think social media is a big part of it. Also AI. Like, AI is not going anywhere. And one of the things that I found is I've met a lot of people who are just like, oh, AI, like, I don't mess with it. I don't want it. And I'm like, you're going to be left behind real quick.
Yep.
And it's like, whether you like it or not, you have to be using it. And if you don't want to use it, hire someone who's using it for your benefit, and because, I always call it the robots, because my partner, Aaron, like he's the tech and he's the one that does like the website designs and he's going in and he's doing coding and he's the dev. He's the one who does all that. So I usually just be like, okay, now break it down to me like a third grader so I can understand, and so there's a human aspect to visibility. And then there's then I call it for the robots, right? Because the robots are there, they're crawling your space and they're looking at what you're doing. And when someone is searching, on ChatGPT or whatever, like best, like how do I solve this problem or best place near me or whatever, like it's going to search the web. And the robots are going to do their job, and they're going to go and find that and find that information. And you want to show up, right? I would think you would want to show up. And when someone who's looking for the solution that you offer, you want to show up. And so I would say not straying away from it and understanding that it's a tool. It's not. Some people are like, oh, it's evil, it's bad, it's good. It's not bad or good. Right. It's not bad or good. It's neutral. It's nothing. It's whatever you make it. It's a tool. Same thing for social media. I've met people who are like, oh, I don't do social media. It's just too much drama for me. I'm like, mine's not drama. I don't know what side of social media you're on. Yeah. Mine's not drama. I was like, mine is exactly what I needed to be because, like you build your algorithm brick by brick, right? That's what I see all the time. And it's true. And it's a tool. All of these things are tools that can either help you or break you. And so I would say another thing is like, don't stray away from it. I know the unknown is scary, but there are experts out there who live in this space like us who we will learn. We're going to learn on how to position these tools and use these tools for your benefit, right? So you don't have to learn. And so I would say like, don't stray away from the unknown and what you don't know, especially AI, because it's not going anywhere.
100%. You get out of it what you put into it.
Absolutely.
And like you said, to your point, if you don't try, you're going to be left behind. So you don't have to use it, but learn it.
Yeah.
You may not use it, but learn it because you need to know how it works. You need to know how it functions and what you can get out of it. And even if you're not going to put it into your professional output, you need to understand it because you're going to at some point have to explain it to somebody else and delegate some tasks into it. And you need to know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
It has like I first touched it a couple of years ago, game changer. It's changed so many things. But I think two things, the biggest two things people miss about it are, one, if you're an expert and you know what you're doing in a certain space, you can use it as a tool to help assist you with that. You don't have to just put a bunch of garbage in it and get a bunch of garbage out of that and post that. But you can get something built for you, and then you can edit it and make it better. Or you can start with a starting point to save you time and get a draft and then work from that.
Right.
And if you know how to build on that, you can use that to your advantage and you can take out all the bad parts and become an editor instead of the writer and then build it to what you need it to be.
Absolutely.
2, it concerns me because younger kids aren't getting the fundamental pieces of how to start from scratch and build something upon that. And it's missing a lot of pieces around that. But you can learn how to use it alongside learning how to do things the right way and then put them together. And it can assist you, not do it for you.
Absolutely.
And that's changing so many things across our industry. And it's made some of my output so much better because I had a better place to start from.
Absolutely.
But considering all of that, what does a realistic 90-day visibility plan look like for your clients? A small Pearland business, somebody starting from scratch, they don't have anything to start from. They don't really know where to go. How do they get that visibility plan started? What services do you offer in that space and how do you help them?
Sure. So, to be honest, it looks very different for different startups. We actually just had a conversation with a startup yesterday and they were a little bit different because they were like a franchise that they're just starting, And so whether you're a franchise, whether you're starting from scratch, whether it's, you're whatever the case is, the way it looks like for us if you're working with Nexus, first thing we're going to do is, is get to know your business. Because a lot of times what happens is, and, we're out in the community a lot and I'll have someone come up to me and they're like, oh, you do marketing? Oh, I need your services. And I'm like, okay, great. What's going on? And they're like, I need leads. Okay. They're like, how do I get leads? This is what I do. And I'm like, they gave me, the industry they're in. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. That's not enough information for me to give you any kind of, strategic advice. Anyone who gives you advice off the bat like that, red flag, just saying. And I usually tell them like, okay, well, I need to know a little bit more about your business. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sit down with you. It could be virtual, it could be a coffee chat. And we're going to learn about your business. And I don't know if you meant this like specifically Nexus or in general, but I'm going specific to Nexus, but at least what it would be with for us. And so we're going to sit down, we're going to talk about it. I want to learn about your business. I want to get to know you. I'm probably going to ask you about about your family. And the reason why I ask these questions, and sometimes it's a little bit of like a get to know you, is because, like I said earlier in the introduction, like Nexus Only Strategies is a concierge service. And what that means is you're going to be working directly with Marcee and Aaron, with me and Aaron, and we're going to get to know each other. We're going to be interacting a lot. And so I want to like you and I want you to like us. And so, and I understand that might not always be the case with every business, and that's okay. So we're going to talk and let's get to know each other and let's see, are the vibes vibing, do we feel a connection here? Do you, and I want you to feel comfortable with this decision because we're going to get in deep with your business. We want to know. We're going to know your business. I wouldn't say to the extent that you know your business, but we're going to get in there. So I'm going to learn everything about your business. So we're going to spend time together. So let's get to know each other. Let's learn about where your business is. And so we'll do a full consult. And if we decide like, hey, this is a fit, we like this, the next step's going to be a market research. Like, let's say we move into, we're working to, we're going to do a market research because we're not going to make decisions off of scarcity, off of fear, off of desperation. That's one thing we're not going to do. What we are going to do is we're going to base it off of real, true data and need, right? Like one of the questions I asked earlier is like, what's the gap? And that's literally what it is. It's identifying the gap that your business fills and for who. And we want to make sure that when we move and make decisions, especially because marketing can get a little expensive, right? Mm-hmm. It's not $20 a month thing. You're going to invest. It's an investment. So we want to make sure that investment is going to bring back ROI. You're going to get a return in your investment. And in order to do that, it needs to be data-based. And so we're going to go into a market research. And then from there, it could look very different for different people. What I will say is that some of the things that are pretty standard, no matter what it is you're going to need a website. You're going to need social media platform. You're going to need a Google business page. These are just essentials for any business. So like if I had to make it like a general thing, those are things that I'm going to ask you about. I'm going to ask you like, what does your website look like? Share that with me. Are you on social media? What platforms? Why are you on social media and on those platforms, right? Because a lot of times people will ask like, well, what platform should I be in? It depends. Who's your target audience, right? And so all of these things are strategic. And so that's why the consult happens. Or I say the consult, but it's, I hate to say it that way, but the discover meeting, or like, I call it, we're going to have coffee. Yeah. We're going to meet, we're going to have coffee, we're going to chat, and
that's it's one of the things that separates good agencies from just run-of-the-mill agencies is they don't accept their clients' assumptions. You listen, you learn their business because they know their business. You learn what they know about themselves and what they know about their market, but you also do the deeper work. You have to look at the data. You have to look at their numbers. You have to look at other things because just because something worked 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 months ago doesn't necessarily mean that the market's going to respond the same way to the same type of content or the same things you're doing. So you have to do the deep dive. You have to do the research. You have to use tools that we have available now to look at what their competitors are doing, what successful competitors are doing versus what unsuccessful competitors are doing, and what they're doing that might not be landing, and try to understand ways to assess the market. And a lot of that you have to do on the fly. You have to do your own analysis. You have to look into things in ways that you didn't used to have to, because things are changing at such a fast pace that you really have to be an expert at several different things to be able to understand what's going on and to be able to look past it and have those tougher conversations to move past those assumptions. Because just because you do what the client thinks you should do every time doesn't mean it's going to be successful. And being able to bridge that really makes an agency stand out because they understand that, and you have to be able to talk through that in a way that lands and they understand more about what's needed now because of all the changes.
Absolutely. And one thing we've learned in business is that we're not a fit for everyone, and you might have a client or you might have someone who's like, I need your services and this is what I need you to do. Boom, 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 boom. It's like, okay. And then my next question is always going to be, okay, why? why that? Like, help me understand what led you to that. And they're like, I don't know. I saw a YouTube short. And they said, this is a hack. This is how you do it. We've literally gotten this before. It's like, it's a hack. It's like, I found a way for you to rank number 1. Here's a hack. It's here's this 30-second short. And I need you to do this for me. And yeah, we're not a fit for you. And mind you, it won't be like that quick to say like, no, but it's usually like a conversation because, like I said, it's not a one, what was it? One shoe fits all. I don't know what the saying is, but that's not how we function. That's why we say, what's the 90-day plan? I don't know. It looks different for everybody, but I could tell you where we're going to start. We're going to talk. We're going to get to know. We're going to go deep. Then we're going to do market research. I'm definitely going to ask you about your website, your Google business page. I'm going to ask you about your social media pages. And then I'm asking you why. Why did you do it this way? I want to understand. And there could be a very logical, reasonable, valid reason you did it that way. And if you tell me like, this is important to me, and I would say, okay, so my job is to then just educate you on what this means. If we could definitely keep it, but I can't guarantee this is going to work. Right. And then it's a conversation. And that's why I say we don't work with everybody. We want to like you. And when I say like you, are you someone who's willing to be led in this? Because, we live in this, we're learning this. And so if it's someone who's trying to just be like, no, this is how I want it to be done, then it might not be a fit. I can recommend you to the person down the street. Maybe they would, are willing to do it. And so looks a little bit different. But I will say that, consult, I need to stop saying consult, but coffee chat, we're going to meet for coffee. We're going to get to know each other. Then we're going to jump into, we're going to do some market research before we tell you exactly what we're going to do. And then that's where kind of like the planning goes on. But definitely Google business page, social media page, website. Those are just essential things that, I would say if you don't have that, if you're like, I don't have time for a coffee chat, Marcee, so tell me what to do. Okay, well, do you have a website? Do you have, right? And having those things, just having them isn't enough. But if you need to at least have something, right? So website, social media, Google business page.
Awesome. Last question for you guys. Harley, what excites you the most about the direction Pearland's business and media is heading? And what are you doing in that space?
Yeah, so, I've mentioned already before about Wheelhouse Media, but, it's just trying to, help anybody that wants to create whatever they want to create when it comes to their small business or local business or themselves as well, too. We get a lot of realtors that come in and they want to promote themselves, and they want to promote who they are. So, what we do to just try to help it up as much as we can is by, offering a free headshots event or, offering us just a safe haven actually too. There've been plenty of times where we've had Bincy and Christy just come in just to work on something, like just their work. They're working on their laptop and you could come in and just have fun and enjoy the lounge for a little while, and so, that's a few things that we've offered with people when it comes to just trying to help them out as much as I can. The one thing I'm super excited about is we're going to be working or collaborating with, partnering with, I'm not sure yet, but it's a professional filmmaker who's actually like a few minutes away from us in Pearland. His name is Harsh Mahadeshwar, and he does a lot of films for India as well. But this dude literally was just helping one of the DPs, a producer that just did The Rental Family with Brendan Fraser that's on Disney and Hulu. So I'm super excited to work with him, and with that, it's trying to, create classes for people that are not as aware for social media, that want to learn, that they just want to just do it themselves. There's a lot of DIY people that want to, oh, you know what, I just give you the video and you can edit it for me, and that's completely fine. You could do that as well too here at Wheelhouse, where you just want to record the video, or like something like you did with us, where you just wanted to use our space just to record, and then you were going to edit for yourself because you already know how to do it. And that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's just a to Z, anything in between we kind of just try to offer. One thing I'm very excited about is the project with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, Dennis Quaid, Renee Zellweger. They're trying to bring basically the production studios that is here in Hollywood. They want to try to bring it in Texas. And they want to make Texas the state for filmmaking, and I'm super stoked about that because Houston is one of the biggest cities in America. And even though I know, McConaughey's Austin, they might be leaning towards doing that in Dallas, but that's just going to open up so many opportunities for the state of Texas, and especially Houston. Like, we have a few walk-in people that are mild actors, amateur actors. We just did one with this guy named Jonathan Jason Green, who had a whole IMDb page. I was not expecting that. It was so cool. And I mean, he didn't do nothing like renowned, Hollywood wise, but he's in all kinds of roles. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool, So, those are a few things I'm excited about. And, we can offer anything in between that.
Yeah. So, Marcee, can you tell me a little bit about what excites you around where Pearland is headed in business and media?
So one of the things that excites me about Pearland and what's going on in the community in the business space is that we're honestly so underrated, right? And what I mean by that is Pearland it used to be this small town. Like I said, I'm sure I was gonna say, I imagine small town, I imagine like carriages and like one store and thing. So not that small, but we used to be, and we still kind of are, a small town. And so a lot of times small towns get a bad rep, kind of like, oh, there's nothing going on over there. And it's all just kind of like, boring. Pearland has a lot going on. We have a lot going on. We're growing so much. Like I said earlier, we don't have to go to Houston to get, entertainment, food, to get what we need. Like, we have it all here. And so what's exciting is that, by being, what I've learned in being in the community, one of the things that Nexus does a lot, Aaron and I are always in the community at events or just meeting other business owner, both because it's good for business and also just good for the soul, because it's your people. They understand the struggle. They get what it's like. And entrepreneurship can be very lonely. And so what we've learned being out in the community is that, one, we have so much to offer. Everyone is so nice. Like you said it earlier, like everyone is so willing to work with each other. And, like I said earlier, community over competition. Everyone partners together. Harley was just talking about like who they're going to be collaborating with and who they're going to partner with. Like, partnership is such a huge part of the culture of business in Pearland. And so if you are a business owner and you're not out like meeting other businesses, if you're not at events and you're kind of like, well, I'm just kind of doing my thing and, it's hard, but I'm going to do, and you have your head down and you're working hard, like, you don't have to do it that way. Like, definitely work hard, like come out, meet, talk to people. It's not even about getting clients or, trying to get more business. It's just about meeting friends, meeting other people that are in the space that you're in. And you'll realize that your struggles and your problems are not unique to you. Right. And just that alone gives you a sense of like, okay, I'm not in this alone. And so I'm just excited to see how much this community is going to help each other grow in the next few years. I don't know what it's going to look like, honestly, because there's so many possibilities. But one thing that I've seen in meeting all these businesses and being a part of these business meetups and these different events is that everybody's so hungry. They're like hungry and eager. And so like, we're a player in the game, right? Like, Houston's great, right? I know, no shit on Houston, right? But Pearland's not small anymore. Like, we're in the game. Like, put us in, coach. Like, we're ready,
100%.
Yeah. And so it's really exciting to see. And so I would say that, like, get involved, like, just go. And I can tell you, like, from my own experience, it was super nerve-wracking to do that. I was super in my head, like, I don't even know what to say. I wouldn't know, like, awkward, and COVID messed everybody up with their socializing and things like that. But like, if you can just give yourself the challenge to show up to an event and meet one person. The goal is not to get business. The goal is not to get clients. It's literally to just let me go and learn about somebody else. Tell yourself, like, I'm here to just meet one person and learn about them. Not to pitch myself, not to talk about my business. I promise you're going to end up talking about your business because people are naturally going to want to learn about you, because Pearland is such a like giving town. They're going to be like, what do you do? How can I help you? And that's what I have found, that everyone's so quick to refer business to you and like, oh, I know someone. And like I said earlier, like, people do business with people they know. And so that's where you want to be. And so it's just exciting to see where we're going to be. I don't know exactly, but I do know that it's going to be somewhere great. We're not stopping. It's like a roller coaster. It's going 100 miles per hour and we're not slowing down.
Yeah, that was a surprising thing for me. I like I said, I commuted to work in Houston for 20 years and I never connected to my community. I grew up in a small town. Pearland looks like a huge city, but it feels like a small town.
Absolutely. Yep.
And the community here is amazing. And I didn't know that. I didn't know my neighbors. And I'd say show up without expectations. There's so many places. I connected to the Chamber. I connected to Rotary, 1 Million Cups. Chamber has Hub. There's
Pearland
like Fresh
Innovation.
Fridays.
There's
There's so many opportunities to show up for business networking, but just show up and meet your friends, meet your neighbors, meet your community. Don't set expectations, get to know people. And it's an amazing space.
Yep.
And it's changed a lot of my perception and perspective. And it's helped me grow a lot in the last year.
Absolutely.
But this has been great, you guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of this first episode. So Pearland Stories is about community. We're about connecting and sharing stories and getting to know each other and learning more. And just hopefully every business, every person here has a story. Every church has a story. Every community center, every group. Get connected to the Chamber. Get connected to all these other spaces. There's somewhere for you. I'm a pretty extreme introvert. I don't come across that way because I've learned not to. But I protect my personal private space. There's a space for everybody, and there really is a space where you can show up and be welcome. But that's what Pearland Stories is about. We're here to share those stories. We're here to connect, and we're here for you.